they probably had no real way of realizing it at the time, back in 1984, 85, that when they were making Return of the Living Dead, they're actually making one of the greatest zombie movies of all time. Today, obviously, it's a lot clearer, in retrospect. A lot of people, would put in the top 10, top 5, maybe even the tippy top of their favorite zombie movies. Just one of the greatest. So a beloved film, and regardless of, what they could have foreseen, I know for sure they at least knew they had a good movie. They had something they believed in, and for sure it was at least something that had enough of a positive reception to warrant a sequel, which is what I'll be talking about today. Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Now, a sequel, for sure, would come with certain expectations, though we don't have the same team behind it. Dan O'Bannon, not the writer-director of this one. Instead, we have director and writer Ken Wiederhorn, who helmed this release. And I mean, it's a tricky thing to do a sequel, particularly for that movie, because everybody in that movie, if they don't end up dead by the end of the movie, then at the very, very end, you may recall, the entire city is fucking nuked. So there's nothing really left to follow up with. It's pretty much wiped clean. But what they do here, I mean, it's basic enough. They do another story of another city, and another instance of that pesky drum of some kind of substance from the military that creates zombies getting let loose into the population and causing the zombie outbreak. So that's essentially what we have here. And since we can't follow that original story, follow up with any returning characters, they do at least one thing that I thought was kind of cool. They bring back two key actors from the original, James Karen and Tom Matthews, who played the master and apprentice sort of the original movie. This time they're back in a similar kind of dynamic. This time they're playing grave robbers, and it's similar, kind of relationship, but they are completely different characters. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was one thing that I thought, oh, this is kind of, a nice angle that they're doing. And to some smaller degrees, that they do have returning actors, like the same actor who played the general from the first movie, who makes the decision to bomb the whole town. He's back very briefly, just going, oh, not again, blah, blah. Same actor who plays Tarman, actually playing a new version of Tarman, who, comes out of the vat and scares everybody and all that. And I can't help but think maybe they could have taken that further. Maybe they just could have done a whole new story, but with as much of the original cast as possible. Get Linnea Quigley back, get Clu Gulager back, get everybody back that you can, playing these different roles, and having a lot of fun that way. But I do appreciate the return of James Karen and Tom Matthews, and it's always fun to see them. We have their aspect of the stories. They're in the mausoleum, picking up some dead people's skulls and their jewelry and all that. But then also another story that would kind of cross paths with them would be this kid, this little rambunctious 80s cool dude, proto Bart Simpson type, I guess, who he's actually the one, along with sort of a buddy of his, but sort of a bully, who they come across the vat containing Tarman and discover the zombie outbreak and all that, and they kind of push him a little much to like have these one-liners and do cool dude little kid stuff, which I don't know, kind of works a little bit, kind of doesn't. Your mileage may vary with enjoyability with that. So I mean, they have kind of the foundation of following the footsteps of the original movie, and kind of keeping with the same spirit. Like, it is obviously, it's a comedic take on the zombie genre, a parody of sorts. Not nearly, I would say, as funny or as clever as the original, but few movies are or can be. That was just, I don't know, lightning in a bottle. That just it's unique, right? But they try their best in this movie. There are definitely good moments, funny aspects, definitely good zombie effects. They kept that up with good zombie makeups, good zombie puppetry, and all of that. So I appreciated that. They kind of kept that tradition alive, so to speak. And definitely, I would give credit to one actor who appears in the film, Philip Bruns, who plays Doc Mandel, who's kind of like a neighbor of the kid. He was like, oh, he has this car. We gotta get him and get the hell out of here, and find the police, find the military, blah blah blah. He's really funny. Like, he kind of like gives the movie the comedic jolt that it needs just at the right time. They're like, oh, we need a car. He's like, oh, sounds like you need a hearse. It's very funny stuff. And, like, he sees like a friend of his. He's like, hey Bob, hey, looking good. Oh, sorry, you died. We're out of typo blood. And I don't know. It's very funny. I thought he did a good job. He really kind of, I don't know, in a lot of ways, I think personally saves the movie. He was really good, really, really funny. A little bit of trivia: he was the original actor to play Jerry Seinfeld's dad on Seinfeld, so a little bit of trivia for you there. And it's a good let's escape the zombies kind of movie. Again, good effects, good blood and guts and gore, just as we saw in the original. I do like that they don't quite like retread everything of the first film, though there's some winks and nods that obviously with the returning cast members. Tom Matthews kind of like gives a little wink. He's like, I feel like we've been here before. Like, this has happened before. So they do that, but it is its own kind of thing, and it resolves in its own kind of way, and kind of a good climax where they are actually able to defeat the zombies. Well, spoilers, I guess, but it's a lot better than just doing the same old thing again. Oh, let's nuke the entire city once again. So, they do something a little bit different, which I appreciate. But, again, I think it would have been such an interesting, gimmick if they were able to get as much of the original cast back as possible, and just like do a whole different story with new actors. Kind of, I guess they do with those. American Horror Story shows, right? They kind of do that. That would have been cool to see. As far as I remember, James Cameron and Tom Matthews don't return for any of the other movies. Maybe they do in like a little cameo in one of the later ones that went directly to video, something like that. I don't know, but definitely when they veered off into part 3, which is kind of a celebrated movie in its own right, arguably better than this one, I would say. They kind of went in a different direction with that. But, for what it's worth, a decent companion to the original Return of the Living Dead film. Not as good, but few films are. I thought they did all right. It is an enjoyable movie. Has the elements that you kind of hope to see in a follow-up, and delivers on them adequately, I guess. So, not a rave review, but definitely an enjoyable movie. Definitely something worth checking out or worth revisiting every now and then. Maybe not as much as the original film, but definitely something worth going back to here and there. So, yeah, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. That's my review. Thank you very much for watching. We're doing 31 Days of Horror here on the channel. Stay tuned for more. Doing horror movie reviews all throughout the month. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll see you later, and stay scared.